Welcome to the knowledge series. Under the EC 407 Computer Communication, we are going to discuss on IP security. IP security, as the word indicates, it's a security of Internet protocol. This is an Internet Engineering Task Force standard suite of a protocol between the two communication devices that is operating in a IP network. Basically, this IP security is to provide a data authentications, integrity and confidentiality. That means IP security defines the encryptions, decryptions and authentications of the packet. This particular protocol is tried to ensure that there should be a method by means of which the key can be exchanged, that is a secure key exchange, as well as proper key management should also follow, so that the key can be distributed, whether it is a public key or it's a private key. Let's see the future related to the IP security. If you see across the slide, you can see that IP security works on a TCP and UDP, as well as other protocols like ICMP, OSPF, etc. You have already witnessed my video series on ICMP and OSPF. IP security protect the packets present in the IP layer, including the higher layer headers. IP security provides the security for a router that sends the packets, that receives the packet over the public internets. IP security, it provides the authentications without encryptions. For example, a data originator from the senders can be treated as an authenticated one, even if it is not encrypted. IP security protect the network data by setting up circuits like IP security tunneling, from where the data can be sent between the two points, and they can be encrypted also. Moreover, the such type of IP security packets can be sent across the virtual private networks for maintaining a connectivity. IP security works from a one network entity to another network entity, and not from the application process only, but it tries to adapt without requiring for any changes in the computer applications. So these are the certain features. Moreover, it is widely used in the communications of the various networks, so that there should be host to host security. These IP security is particularly very important even in the gateway, where the two different networks tries to operate. So these are the certain features related to the IP securities. Now let us see the securities in a network layer. So the network layer, it securities or the network security, it tries to implement at some layer of a protocols using a certain layer structures. Say for example, if you take about an application layer, the communication protocols are HTTP, FTP, SMTP. But when you talk about security protocols, it is a PGP, then SMIME, HTTPS. These are nothing but a security protocols. If you look across a transport layer from the angle of a communication protocols, there you will able to find the protocols related to the say TCP UDP, that is one side, and other on the other side SSL, TLS and SSH. So these are nothing but another form of a security protocols. If you look across the network layers, in the network layer it comes as a IP in the communication protocols and IP security in the security layer protocols. Let's see the security functions. If before we talk about the security functions, let me give some of the security functions, certain like factors that is related to the security functions. One is confidentiality. When we talk about a confidentiality, that means the communication nodes shall maintain the message, encrypted message for exchange, and it should prevent the passive type of attack. So that means it prevent such type of confidentiality can be able to maintain by preventing the eavesdropping by the third party. Next is the origin of authentications and data integrity. It needs to provide the assurance that the received packet was actually transmitted from the authenticated party or from the point from where the packet was generated. So this is the very important in the from the angle of a authentication. Confidentiality is related, we can say it is related to the receiver end, and when we talk about authentications, it is about the generating end or from the source end. That is how the authentications we can able to distinguish. Key management allows the secure exchange of the key and as well as protections from the various attacks or a replay attacks. So if you try to see in this figure, and on the bottom side headquarters, it is trying to communicate with the internet world, so that headquarters office want to send information to the branch office, which is on the other side of the internet network, internet world. That means it is not directly connected through a LAN, rather it is connected through a internet. So the headquarters will be sending a packet to the router with the IP header and IP payload is you can try to see data is there and header is there. It is passing through the router, where from the router, once it is moving off, it is being given a protection, that is IP security is being provided as a header to the data as well as to the IP itself. So you can find in the second sections, this IP payload become a secure payload, IP header become IP security header, and on the top of which additional IP header is given. It is passed through the gateway to the internet. From the internet, this is being sent to the two different places, one to the branch office, another to the field user. So from the field, the same packet is being transmitted to the field user as well as to the branch office through the IP through the routers. So the once it reaches to the router will able to separate out the IC, will able to verify and will able to separate out the IP securities, and the original packet has been sent to the branch office. So in an organization which maintain a LAN to disperse such type of information on the non-secure is nothing but internet traffic, these type of authentication and confidentiality it needs to maintain, so that IP security networking device will typically encrypt and compress all the traffic going into a WAN network and decrypt and decompose the traffic that is coming from the WAN. It is encrypt and compress while passing through the WAN network, and another is that it can able to decrypt and able to decompress the traffic, returning back into a normal mode through the when it is coming from the WAN. And these operations are transparent to a workstations as well as for the server associated with the LAN network. Secure communications is also possible with the individual users also, that is associated to the WAN. Such users workstations must implement IP security protocol, because thereby the packet moving through a moving through a media that is not a secure media will be protected. Thereby the data will not lose its basic characteristics in terms of a confidentiality and authentications. So this is what we try to see the secure transmissions against the non-secure traffic. Let's see the benefit of the IP security. What are the benefits that we can anticipate with the IP securities? So some of the benefits of the IP securities is that when an IP is implemented in a firewall or a routers, it provides a strong security. That means we can security. That means based on the traffic and its perimeter, the IP security will try to provide the securities and it's so that the overhead of the security related processing will automatically increase. If it is a large traffic, then large processing with respect to the security IP security need to process. The other point is that the IP security is a firewall in resistance to bypass all the traffic from the outside must use a IP and the firewall. That is very true, is that during the entrance of the packet from the non-secure or from the internet into an organizations, the IP security need to be clearly defined, so that the firewall can able to identify the packet and able to allow, and rest it can able to discard or block. IP security is below the transport layer, TCP and UDP. So it is transparent to applications. That means there is no need to change the software on the user or the server side when the IP security is being implemented in a firewall. So that is very simplify the IP security under these particular situations. Even if IP security is implemented in the end systems or the upper layer software, including the application, it does not affect. The other point is the IP security can be transparent to end users, and there is no need to train the users on the IP security mechanisms, because the systems will able to handle the IP security functionality without the needs of a user to intervene with respect to the protections. Rather, the IP security will able to automatically handle the secure and the non-secure form of packets. IP security can provide security for individual users if needed. Yeah, this is useful for off-site workers and for setting a secure vertical sub networks within the organization for a sensitive application. We can make a demarcations, say a corporate sections of the user that is handling the same LAN network, and an external parties who is being allowed to use the same LAN networking. So the IP security can able to make that configuration, and thereby the different types of the users can able to get isolated from each other depending upon the intensity and the gravity of the networks. So these are the certain points related to the IP security that we have seen under this particular course of our discussion. Thank you.